So I'm going to show you how I create my reversible granny square. I'm going to use this using a magic circle. And so I take the yarn and I make sure that the tail end is coming down this way. I take the long piece of working yarn and I create a loop, a circle. I put my hook in, I pull it through like so, over the top of the loop and grab the very same piece of working yarn and make a chain. I do have a tutorial for a magic loop, so you're very welcome to go over and see that. Just pull that through. So now I need to chain 2 more to make 3 chains, and that will count as my first treble, my first UK treble. I'm going to go yarn over and crochet 2 more trebles. So that's our first group of 3 trebles, our first group of 4 3 trebles. We now need to create a corner, so we're going to chain 2. We will crochet 3 more trebles into that centre circle, or our magic loop. So we have 2 groups of 3 trebles and we're going to create another corner. So chain 2 and then 3 more trebles into our centre loop. I just like to pull that a little bit to make the centre loop smaller. We now have 3 groups of 3. We need to create another corner by chaining 2, and we're creating another group of 3 trebles. So yarn over, so we now have 4 groups of 3 trebles. I'm going to pull on the tail end of the yarn to finish off closing off the centre loop. And now I'm going to chain 1 rather than 2, and I'm going to slip stitch into the top chain of the first chain 3 we created at the beginning. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. And we have the beginning centre of our reversible granny square. Now I always chain 1 rather than 2 because I find that space become very large and look out of proportion to the others. So I prefer to chain 1 and then slip stitch because I think the slip stitch can count as a chain. So as this is a reversible granny, we're going to turn our work and we're going to put our hook into that chain space there, the corner space, and we're going to slip stitch. We're now going to chain 3 and we're going to work 2 more trebles into that corner space. So this group of 3 trebles is actually half of a corner of our second row. And I'm going to take a stitch marker and place it in the top of the chain 3 we did there. And we're going to finish that corner when we come back round the other way. So now I'm going to chain 1, yarn over and work 3 trebles into that next corner space. So that's half of a corner, and to create the corner we're going to chain 2. 3 more trebles into that very same corner space. We're going to chain 1 to take us over to the next corner. Yarn over and 3 trebles into that next corner space. We're going to create the corner by chaining 2 and then another 3 trebles into that very same corner space that we've just worked into. So we've created another corner and we're going over to the next corner. So we're going to chain 1 and work 3 trebles into the next corner space again. We're going to create the corner by chaining 2 and we're going to work another 3 treble into that very same corner. So we've created 1, 2, 3 corners and we've come round to the corner we started with. As you can see here, we've put the stitch marker in and that was half of a corner. So we're going to finish off that corner. We're going to take the stitch marker out. We're going to chain 1 and then we're going to work 3 trebles into that very same corner space we worked in at the beginning. So now we're going to join our square and we're going to do that by chaining 1 this time, not 2 as we did before, and then slip stitching into the 3rd chain of the first chain 3 we did. 1, 2, 3. Try again, there we go. And that's our 2nd round finished. And as you can see, we now have a space between the corners as well. And those spaces will increase with each round by 1 on each side of the granny square. And now we're going to create the third round of our granny square. And remembering it's a reversible granny square, we're going to turn our work again at the beginning of the row. And we are going to slip stitch and then chain 3. We're going to work 2 more treble into that corner space, UK treble. So now we've created half of a corner, and we will finish that corner off when we come around the row. But we're going to put a stitch marker in the top of that chain 3, just to make it very identifiable. And you will notice that we now have a space between each of the corners. So I'm going to chain 1 and work 3 treble into that centre space. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to work 3 treble into that corner space. Now to create the corner, I'm going to chain 2 and work another 3 treble into that very same corner space. So now we're going to work into the middle space again, the space between the 2 corners. We're going to chain 1 and 3 treble into that middle space. We're going to go over to the corner again, so we're going to chain 1 and work 3 treble into that corner space. To create the corner, I'm going to chain 2 and then work another 3 treble into that very same corner space. So you will have 2 groups of 3 treble in that corner space with 2 chains between them. We're going to work into that centre space and then work 3 trebles. We're going to work into the next corner, so I've chained 1 and we're going to work 3 trebles into that corner. To create the corner, I'm going to chain 2 and then work another 3 treble into that corner space. I'm going to chain 1 and work 3 treble into that centre space, just 1 group of 3 treble into that centre space. chain 1 and we're coming up to the corner that we started at the beginning of the row. So it's half a corner. We need to take out that stitch marker. It's done its job now. And we're going to work 3 treble into that same corner space there. So we now have 2 groups of 3 trebles in that last corner space and we need to join them. And this time, instead of 2 chain on each corner, I like to do 1. You can do 2 if you wish, but it will make a very large corner space. And then I slip stitch 1, 2, 3 to the top of the first chain we did at the beginning of that round. So here we have our 3 round granny square. You can of course make your granny square as large as you like. You would just notice that between each of the corners you will have more spaces to crochet into as you get larger. You might notice that you end up with very wavy or flabby edges. Now this could be your tension, or it could be that you're using the wrong hook size for the yarn. So check those things first. Then you could also go back to the beginning, start again, and just omit the chain 1s between the 3 groups of 3 trebles, and that will put your granny square right again. So happy granny square making.